Hello, hello, hello. Looks like I'm really disappearing into my green screen tonight. Hi, it's me, Stephanie K, and it is time for transmissions from the NX 7062, and I am your captain, Stephanie K. Glad to be with you tonight. Yeah, I know my name's down here too. I was trying to turn it off, which is why I started a minute late tonight because they changed the layouts. I figured it out last week, and now it all went away. But I mean, it's no big deal. So my name's up here twice. I mean, never hurts. Branding never hurts, right? Like my ball cap that you can pick up in my shop, NX7062, and my Read Alert sparkly shirt that says NX7062, which I was really hoping to show you guys tonight. But we are in, I guess you could call it studio number 2, which is my downstairs, because there is a window broken in my office. It's been broken for forever. And right now it's just really freaking cold up there, and I just wasn't in the mood to sit in the cold. Because it's miserable today. It's cold and rainy. Maybe when it's just cold, I'll go back up there. But right now it's cold and rainy, and I think we're going to need to do something about how much I'm fading into the background. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, puppy. The other thing is I was hoping that maybe at least one of the new boys would be down here tonight because Lex does hang out downstairs, but he hasn't been down today. Okay. Wait, that's blurring my background. All right, welcome to my downstairs, my little half wall. That's the stairs. You may see felines poking their little noses, and then this is the couch area. Anyway, so this is studio number 2. Hey, Greg. So Dave Gregory, I should say. Hey, Dave. Thanks so much as always for hanging out tonight. See, now you can see my merch better. My NX7062 hat. I call it Read Alert because it's sparkly red, NX7062. I was phasing, but now that I've gotten rid of the background, I'm actually here, and you guys get a chance to take a peek at my background. You got a chance to take a tiny little peek at my house. Plus, if any of the animals show up, like I said, you might see a feline face poke through the banisters. Could even be Lex. That right there, that is Reed's back, and LeBeau is on my lap, snoozing away. Branding everywhere. That's right. Branding everywhere. Branding is everything. Which I might actually have a little bit of an announcement next week when it comes to branding. Not for me specifically, but hey, Travis, been a minute. So glad you could be here. So glad. So good to see you again. But yeah, I might have some new stuff going on next week. We'll see. Keeping a lid on it, waiting to hear back. Anyway, so before we start with the whole 6 degrees of separation conversation, wanted to send out a very heartfelt congratulations to the one and only David Ajala. For those of you that don't know, his first episode of Law and Order aired on Thursday night. They kind of just dropped him in, like he just showed up at the crime scene as the new partner. No big fanfare, no British accent. He's speaking American. But it was definitely an incredibly interesting episode. Dave, I think you watched it, right? It was an incredibly interesting episode, and I have to admit, he replaced Makata Brooks. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, who you all may know. Speaking of tie-ins, and sci-fi, he played Jimmy Olsen in Supergirl, and it was also Eggs on True Blood, which puts him 1 degree of separation or 0 degrees of separation from Trek, because we all know that John Billingsley was also on True Blood. Oh, and you know who else I found out was on True Blood? Ensign Rowe was on True Blood. Michelle, I cannot remember. Obviously it's not Pfeiffer, but her name's Michelle. Ensign Rowe, not only was she in True Blood, but she and Makata Brooks came together. They showed up together. I miss no, and yes, you pronounced him right. Oh, yay, thanks. It's a really cool name, but anyway, so there's Makata Brooks, 6 degrees of separation, 0 degrees of separation. He worked with Ensign Rowe directly, and John Billingsley was also on True Blood. So there you go. Anyway, but I like that they're going to keep that African American perspective in Law and Order, because there are a lot of these crimes, like being not being African American, you don't see it the same way. So getting it to see it through an African American police officer's point of view was interesting before, and they're gonna remain writing that way, and they just proved it with this first David Ajala episode. I just thought it was fantastic. His facial expressions are amazing. His facial expressions are absolutely amazing. There were just times when he was just sitting in the courtroom and the look on his face gave me chills. So if you are not a Law and Order fan, you don't really honestly necessarily have to have watched the last 20 plus years of the show. You can drop in now and pick it up. And David Ajala is fantastic. I picked it up midstream. I've seen them all now because they're always running in reruns somewhere. But you don't need to have seen them, and you can just drop in and start watching them now. Oh, Travis, a new degree. Well, congratulations. Hard work always pays off. So hopefully, did you graduate yet, or are you just working? Are you still working on it? Because I think that's fantastic and absolutely good for you. Anyway, yes, huge congratulations to David Ajala for Law and Order, because that was freaking amazing. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a very long tenure. And if I didn't, thank you. Michelle Forbes was Ensign Row. Could not think of her last name. Thank you, Travis. Michelle Forbes. But I hope it's a long tenure. I would have to look this up because I'm not 100% sure. But Chris Noth may have had the longest run. I know he had the most partners. He had 3 partners. Then Lenny showed up, then he left. Then Lenny had Brad Pitt and Jesse L. Martin. And then Lenny left, and then Jesse L. Martin had Dennis Farina. And then it was Dennis Farina, then it was the female cop. Then it was the female cop, and then nope, Jesse L. Martin's tied with Chris Noth, because then it was Jesse L. Martin and he's doing FBI now. Jeremy Sisto. And then Jeremy Sisto went from Jesse L. Martin to Anthony Anderson. And then that's where it ended. It ended with those two, and then it didn't. And then I think Anthony, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. I'm almost as good at Law and Order as I am with Star Trek, or maybe equal. So Jesse L. Martin and Chris Noth both had the same number of partners, but I have to see how long both of them were on the show. My guess is Chris Noth had been on there longer. But anyway, so fun. Okay, so let's start with Law and Order. Let's get right into graduating in April with a degree in medical coding and billing. Oh, that's fantastic. That's hard. I have friends that do that. That's really difficult. That's not easy, Travis. So good for you. That's an amazing, and that's such a great profession to be in. So that's really great. That's really great. So okay, so let's start with Law and Order. Law and Order can be linked to so many different shows. I don't know where Magic Lasso is. I already talked to him today. I don't know where he is. He better hurry up and get his butt here, because Law and Order can be linked directly to Wonder Woman, because Linda Carter did an episode. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is how you can. This is really easy. Carolyn McCormick. Giving up my career in IT. I don't know if I blame you for that. IT can be stressful. I have IT horror stories, and I'm not even in IT, but somehow I always end up being the one that knows more about computers, or at least more about some things in the room than anybody else, wherever it is that I end up working. So, yeah, I don't even want to get into how stressed I was a couple weeks ago trying to help somebody who knows next to nothing about computers, which actually I'll get to that story in a second. So yeah, I don't know. I should text him. I should text Lasso. Anyway, Carolyn McCormick, who plays the recurring role of Dr. Olivet in the early Law and Order. She was the court psychiatrist. Don't remember. She was in one of my favorite episodes, and I got to tell her about that at STLV a few years ago. Why was Carolyn McCormick at STLV? Because she played Minuet in 1100101, one of my favorite TNG episodes, partly because she was in it and she was fantastic. But yep, so there we go. Law and Order, and we're talking early Law and Order, so you didn't even have to reach that far. And I'm sure if I sat here and just went through, the more than 20 years worth of Law and Order that's out there, we could do it. We could do more, but that's 6 Degrees of Separation right there. With Carolyn McCormick. So there's a Law and Order tie-in. Hold on a second. Watch. See? Phone. You guys can't see what my cover is because it gets all blurred. Literally, he's like first up in my text. Dave. Hold on. Watch. Dave and I are waiting for him. All right. There we go. Let's see if he shows up. We still have that, and we also still have that. I also still have that show to do with him and Signature King, where we're gonna do the Star Trek Green Lantern, the last three volumes in that story. Okay, so Law and Order out of the gate, boom, done. So I work with a guy. He's a retired actor. And I just saw a picture of him. He was in Happy Days. He was in an episode of Happy Days. So I was just like, I finally found out what episode of Happy Days he was in. And I actually remembered the episode. He was in the episode where Fonzie made some sort of promise to not fight. I don't know if he made it to Mrs. C. I don't remember why. I don't remember if there was I think there was a time limit on it. And this gang found out about it, and they took apart his bike, and then they walked into Arnold's, and then the one member of the gang took a mustard bottle and squeezed yellow like coward stripes down Fonzie's jacket. Well, the guy I work with is the guy that did the stripes down Fonzie's jacket. His name's John Papis, and he's a really super, super nice guy. But he knows next to nothing about computers, and he's in Florida. And I swear to God, somebody needs to fly me down there if they want me to help him again, because I don't do it. I don't do tech over the phone. He's not great with Zoom, so getting him to give me control of his screen in Zoom was almost as frustrating as not being able to see his screen at all. So John's a great guy. He just knows very little about computers, but somehow I ended up having to be his tech support for a couple of days. Carolyn McCormick, Minuet. I was trying that when you said her name, her character. There you go. Yep. Carolyn McCormick also worked with Christopher Reeve when he was in the wheelchair. Christopher Reeve did an episode of The Practice, and she played his wife. So, yeah, she's amazingly sweet. I had a lot of fun talking to her at STLV. Okay, so Happy Days is another easy one too, because not Anson Mount, the other Anson Williams, Potsy, and Ralph Malph, both have done Star Trek, and I did see them very, 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 very briefly at Donnie Most. There we go. Very briefly, they were at STLV a few years ago. It's the 60th. They have they're going to be pulling out all the stops. I would love to see like these one-off people again. They've already got, like I said last week, they've already got the entire cast of Enterprise lined up except for Jolene. They just announced a couple of Kelvin timeline people. They were getting Bruce Greenwood and God damn it, I can't remember the actress's name. She was in Once Upon a Time. She played the blonde lead character in Once Upon a Time, the TV show, which now links that to Star Trek. But she's the one that played Kirk's mother in Star Trek 2009. She played Mrs. Kirk. And now that makes sense. Typing got you, Travis. We got 2 Kelvin, and I promise, and I think there is probably only one way in hell that we will ever get Magic Lasso to come to a Star Trek convention, and that is if Chris Pine gets invited. And that's not, I mean, we know that Zachary Quinto has shown up. We know that Carl Urban showed up. I mean, so if you've got a Spock and McCoy, I mean, Kirk, how many Kirks can you fit in one Star Trek convention for the 60th anniversary. I think that's what creation needs to figure out, because we can get Chris. We've already got Shatner. Let's see if we can get Paul Wellesley. And is that it? I feel like there's more, but I guess that's it. So I think we should try and get all the Kirks we can. But yeah, if we get Chris Pine, we might be able to talk Lasso into coming out if we can find him a place to stay, because he wants Chris Pine's autograph. Because for those of you that don't know, Chris Pine was in both Wonder Woman movies playing the one and only Steve Trevor. Because unlike the TV show, and I hate this because I grew up on the TV show and I actually prefer brunettes, but Steve Trevor, I believe, was originally a blonde in the comics. So they got a very Steve Trevor looking. Who's meowing? Lex, is that you? Oh, they're all upstairs. Pluto comes out sporadically. But Lex usually is hanging out down here. He was down here earlier. I thought he was going to hang out and stay. Do you want to come back up? Hold on one second, guys. Come on. Just have to help LeBeau up on the couch. He doesn't jump up on the couch. At least not very often, and he knew there was stuff in the way, so he wasn't going to attempt it. So, more 6 Degrees of Separation. What I really kind of wanted to kick off with is how much I love the 60s. Because 60s TV, it seems like everybody was showing up everywhere. So, it's really easy to do like 6 Degrees of Separation for TOS on like pretty much all of the other major shows, at least the ones that I watched. The Monkees, Vic Tayback, and Arlene Martell from my favorite Amok Time. We're in Monkees episodes. They were both in Star Trek episodes. Batman is rife with it, because Batman had some of the greatest actors of the time. So if you want to look at Batman, and we're talking like literally the same years. But I mean, Frank Gorshin, Julie Newmar, the guy that played Harry Mudd was in an episode of Batman. Technically the villain was the Green Hornet, but we all know the Green Hornet really wasn't a villain. Except Batman and Robin didn't know it, but the rest of us did. So you have Julie, Frank, the guy that played Harry Mudd, the guy that played Son, again, back to Amok Time, the guy that played Son, who was T'Pring's love interest, was in an episode of Batman. Shatner, Pine, Wesley. Those are the only Kirks, unless you count young Kirk. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. I don't know. Thanks, Travis. I don't know why I kept feeling like I was missing a Kirk. I don't know why, but okay. Thank you for confirming. Yeah. Young kid Kirk. Although, you know what? That kid that drove the car off the cliff was awesome. I wouldn't mind having him come. He was pretty freaking cool. Trek Long Island, not this year, not last year, had the actor who played, I want to say, teenage Spock in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I think it was the Pung Far Spock from the Genesis planet in Search for Spock. They had him. So, I mean, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to have like a young, for that matter, have the kid that played young Jean-Luc in that one episode. He was really good. So anyway, so like Batman and Star Trek, which were like some of my 60s favorites, are like this. I think I mentioned Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke is tied. Gunsmoke actually had Leonard Nimoy in an episode, which I just found out. Roger C. Carmel. Who's Roger C. Carmel? See, that's the problem, is I talk so fast and then you guys type and then there's a name and I'm like, okay, I've just mentioned a bunch of people. So who is that, Travis? So Batman and Trek are like that. The Monkees have a lot of Trek. Trek had some really, the one and only Terry Garr, who was fantastic, who was in the Monkees movie Head, who was in the Black Stallion. I think the first time I ever saw her was when she was in the Black Stallion movie. Was in Assignment Earth. So that was, so yeah. So the 60s are like really easy. I was literally trying to think if there was some way for me to tie the original Rat Pack to Star Trek, but I think that's going to take me like literally sitting down because I know more music from the Rat Pack than I do acting. Like I know they did Ocean's 11. I've seen the original Ocean's 11 and I love the Rat Pack musically, but I need to sit down at some point and see like acting wise if you can connect them. Thank you. All right, so this is Harry Mudd. Thanks, Travis. Roger C. Carmel is Harry Mudd, and he's also been in he was also in a really funny episode of Hogan's Heroes. Hogan's Heroes is another one that every time you turn around, you can tie it to something. Arlene Mattel had a recurring role. There you go. So Amok Time once again showing up in Hogan's Heroes. The actor that played opposite her in the Monkeys episode was actually also in an episode of Hogan's Heroes, but not the same one. I don't know the actor's name. I just recognize him. Trying to think if Hogan's Heroes has any other ties to Star Trek besides Mudd. Has a bunch of ties to has a lot of ties to the Monkeys. And MASH. See, Hogan's Heroes. The only one Hogan's Heroes has their own channel now on Pluto. If you're ever looking for something really funny, that's Lex. There he is. Come here, Lex. He is such a Lex. He's so funny. I love how all my cats end up living up to their names. But Hogan's Heroes is personally, it's one of the shows that I absolutely love. I absolutely love Hogan's Heroes, and it's just a lot of fun to like see all these people pop up. William Christopher from MASH was in a bunch of different episodes. But yeah, I think Harry might be the only thing that ties it to Star Trek that I can think of right now off the top of my head. Rumor is Sinatra was a big Star Trek fan, and James Darren was Nancy Sinatra's godfather. Well, there we go. There, that ties the Rat Pack. I'll give you that. That's awesome. Thank you, Travis. Thanks. That puts him smack dab within the 6 degrees of separation. Thank you for that. Yeah, like I said, if I can't find anything else to watch on TV, I literally just fall asleep to the Hogan's Heroes channel, even though I've seen every episode pretty much. There's very few that I hear them and I don't know where they're going. But and we all know that my dog is named after Louis LeBeau, the character that Robert Clary played on Hogan's Heroes. Who else was in that? Richard Dawson. Who doesn't love Richard Dawson? I love Richard Dawson. My cousins actually got on Family Feud once a million years ago. They didn't win, but they actually were on. My cousin actually worked at Paramount. See, I'm 0 degrees of separation too. My cousin worked at Paramount for a while. In fact, I have a Paramount sweatshirt and a TNG cast photo from I think the first season that he gave my mom when they went out to visit him. Come here, Lex. Come say hi. Come on. He's so finicky. He loves attention. He loves to be pet. He loves to curl up. But God forbid you actually ask him to come over. He's so funny. Like I said, I was really hoping to introduce him to you tonight because Pluto comes downstairs very rarely. Okay, so we're supposed to be doing 6 degrees of separation. So if you guys have anything you want to try and stump me with, absolutely just there he is. Absolutely just throw it in the chats. You were just playing hard to get. Just throw it, and you need to be nice. Just throw it in the chats and I'll see if I can connect it. The other person I was trying to connect to Star Trek that was just popped in my head because I was talking about Happy Days. Was Robin Williams. I was trying to think how close Robin Williams is to Star Trek. But then that one's really easy because of all the work he did with Whoopi Goldberg. So that puts him right with TNG. So that's one. Because he worked, that's 0 because he worked directly with somebody. So yeah, so that puts him right there. So that one was really easy. And then there's Christopher. I'm just like, I'm literally just running through like things that I like that I've never sat down and done. Sometimes I actually just do this. It's a good brain for me. I find it to be like this really fun brain exercise where like I'll see something on the TV or somebody that I really like or something, and then I'll just try and do like 6 degrees of separation from them. Hi. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's really good to see you. And oh my gosh, I can't. Okay, hold on. Squiggly dog. There we go. Hey there. I want to Anval. I'm terrible with names. But it is so I am so glad that you came home from work and just popped in. I really really appreciate that. Guess what, Dave? Lasso hasn't answered me. I don't know. Something must have come up. Something to quote Marsha Brady. Something must have come up. Something suddenly came up. So okay, so Christopher Reeve. So let's see if we can do Christopher Reeve 6 degrees of separation from Star Trek. I already kind of answered that question because he worked with Carolyn McCormick in an episode of The Practice. So there we go. That's another 0. Bam, done. See, it's just sometimes you just know it and you don't even realize that you know it. Trying to think what other shows from like I said, the 60s are kind of easy because, Adam West was also in an episode of Gunsmoke. He was in Perry Mason. Oh, Perry Mason. George Takei was in an episode of Perry Mason. MASH has a Star Trek connection. Half-Life, David Ogden Stiers. Yep, that's right, David Ogden Stiers, which is one of my absolute favorite episodes that Majel Barrett ever did. I thought that episode with Luoxana was so beautiful and heartbreaking and just incredible. And that is one of my favorite episodes. And probably that and her episode with Odo are my 2 top Luoxana episodes. I mean, she's always fun. She is one of my favorite non-regular characters, but those are my top 2 Luoxana episodes because you got to see that different side of her. And I always thought that those were great episodes. Yeah, I love David Ogden Stiers too. And Nicole DeBoer gives Dead Zone actually 2 connections to Star Trek because Nicole DeBoer played the main character's ex-fiance. So I've caught a couple. I like both of them. I mean, I didn't watch the Dead Zone when it came out. I have caught some episodes when I've happened to stumble across them. It's one of the reasons why everybody should keep some sort of television around, like wired TV, like cable. I mean, I use Philo. I use Philo, and I love it. I love how because then just stuff pops up like Night Court, which I was watching for a while religiously. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. So thinking of the things that I've watched on TV. Night Court obviously is easy. John Larroquette, boom. Plus they used to write a lot of funny little Star Trek references into their episodes, such as SEALs. I recently discovered that William Shatner was in a TV movie called The Horror at 37,000 Feet with Chuck Connors and Buddy Epson. Oh, well, there you go. All right. So called Horror at 37,000 Feet. So that connects the Beverly Hillbillies to Star Trek. And Chuck Connors did he was the rifleman, I think. Somebody should look that up for me, but I'm pretty sure he was the rifleman. Did you know David Ogden Stiers was also I did not know that, but that does not surprise me at all. It could be honestly one of the reasons why they wrote Charles Winchester as such a music lover. And I literally last Tuesday just watched the last episode of MASH. It was on MeTV, so I watched it again. I've seen it before, but this is the first time in a long time I watched it. And he actually was conducting a little bit in that. So that does not surprise me that he was in real life. Oh, well, there you go. So what is that now? We're up to 3 major Star Trek references. I mean, the Orville isn't just, and let's not forget, the Orville isn't just a love letter to Star Trek, but it actually has had Star Trek actors, and Brannon Braga was one of the executive producers. That one was an easy one, but somebody posted that the Orville was getting a 4th season, and then it turns out that it was like old news from a year ago that people were like, and people were all getting all excited, and I saw it on a Star Trek Facebook page. I'm like, and I missed where it said January 2025, but somebody picked that up. Yay! I don't see. I don't just thank you. I don't just know my sci-fi, but I do know my westerns. Thank you. I think I saw that. Did I see Haven? I'll have to look that up. Thanks, Amanda. I'll have to look that up. It sounds really familiar, but maybe I'm just thinking about she was in like a Twilight Zone or one of the new Outer Limits or something, and that could be that's what I could be thinking. Hey, Chris, thanks so much for popping in. Glad you're here. Okay, so now we've got 6 Degrees of Separation for Haven, done 0. Because Nicole was in it. So let's see and we've connected the Rifleman, which is awesome. We've connected the Rifleman to Star Trek. LA Law, we can connect. See, I'm doing this backwards. I'm doing like the easy ones. Like LA Law had Arnie. Oh my god, I even met him. The other Q. Oh, why am I blanking on his Corbin Burnson? So LA Law was fantastic, which also now, okay, so this is kind of fun too, like doing it like in this weird backwards way. So if Corbin Burnson was in Star Trek, which means 0 for LA Law, Susan Day was in LA Law, which now connects the Partridge Family to Star Trek. It's a party going on tonight. So glad all you guys are here to play 6 Degrees of Separation with me. So yeah, so we just connected the Partridge Family to Star Trek. Trying to think if there was another way to do that. Yep, Lost in Space, we can connect because Bill Mumy was in that one episode of DS9. Yes, that's right. Corbin Burnson was on Psych, so now we've just connected Psych, which I never watched, but my parents did. I heard it was really good. I like Dooley Hill, so I heard it was really good. I just never watched it. Trying to think what else. See, now you've got me thinking Psych. Now you've got me thinking USA and the Concierge Doctor one on USA that I absolutely love that had Henry Winkler in it. And oh my god. Now I'm trying to think if there's a way to connect that to Star Trek, and there probably is, and I'm missing it. Is it this week? Okay, so Chicago's this weekend. That's right, Chicago. Star Trek Chicago is this weekend. So Chris, happy trails, happy safe travels. Totally jealous. I would love to be going. It's just not in the cards. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with me, so not in the cards, but I would absolutely love to go. Like I said, I'm hoping next week to have some fun news about STLV, not directly related to the show, but still some really fun news that I'm really looking forward to sharing. That's going to be fun. Yeah. I mean, I went to the Reed Pop Star Trek convention, Mission Chicago, and it was sort of lame, but it was still Chicago. And I saw Dave went to a convention this last weekend that looked like it was a lot of fun. I saw on your socials. So I just usually take the winter off. Yes, obscene. Dave, you are the king of cosplay. You really are. I love all your stuff. I love all of your cosplay. And totally jelly. Everybody that's going, totally jelly. Because I would love to just get out of town for the weekend, but it's also right before Thanksgiving. Oh, did you go to Reed Pop? I mean, Connor and Dominic were there, so anytime I get to hang with my boys, I'm okay. It's good. Oh, and Dave, I think that's where I met David Ajala. So Yeah, that's where I met David Ajala. I was handing out the hand sanitizers for Lambda Quadrant, which was always my in to talk to people. So that's how I met Dave. That's how I met Dougie Jones. Got my first. I think that's where I got my first. No, that was not where I got my first Dougie hug. I think that's where I got my second Dougie hug. So let's see. Neat and for winter with the what happened to your Trek uniform? I have one. I have a red TOS skirt, but it's got long sleeves, and I usually only like my big Trek thing is Vegas, and I can't wear long sleeves in Vegas. I just have a mental block against wearing long sleeves in Vegas. So I don't wear it. Nest in for the winter with the fur babies. Yes, exactly. That's what I want to do. And my electric fire. I have my electric fire turned on, which I absolutely love. My little heater. Yeah, David Ajala was there. That was also Ken Mitchell's last before his that was also Ken Mitchell's last before his last cruise. Ken Mitchell was there? I don't remember Ken being there. I talked to Ken. I think his last STLV, I got a chance to chat with Ken and his wife. Lovely people. They were really, really, really nice. Ken was so funny. Ken had such a great sense of humor. On this one. Okay, let's see. Let's get blown away by Travis. Doug Jones and Zoe Saldana, all of those movies they have been in, all those actors. Yes, that is an excellent point. That is an excellent point. If we sat down and like worked our way backwards, you're absolutely right. We would be able to connect so many different people. You don't even realize. I watched. I think I mentioned Eli Roth, History of Horror, that comes on every Halloween. Has a season. It's got like 3 seasons, and they're all Halloween based. It's on AMC. Absolutely love it. It's so great. And Dougie was popping up in a bunch of different episodes. I didn't real. I mean, I sort of knew because like if you stand in his line at any convention and you see like every single picture. Cool Water Productions, by the way, they've got it down with Doug. They have got their system is so perfect with Doug. They have like the full blown point of sale system. They have all of his things labeled. You know, you have to say like what number picture you want. They are amazing. Alberto and Derek and the team, they've got Dougie down really well. I love, but yeah, it's just so many, and he's worked with so many amazing people. And what's his name? Guillermo del Toro loves him and always invites him. Like don't even audition. He like literally Doug's like, yeah, he'll call me. He'll tell me he needs me, you know, like play a half a corpse or whatever. And he's like, I'm in. So I love that. But you are absolutely right, Travis. You are absolutely right. Let's see. So lost my Trek autograph collection and that really oh my god. I am so sorry. I can't even imagine losing my autograph collection. I am so sorry. Okay, what does Dave have to say? The disco folks surrounded him with so much love that weekend. So gentle helping him in his chair. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing, Dave. Yeah, I mean, he was family and it was awesome. I loved how they were able to give him that last appearance too in disco. I thought that that was just who doesn't? Everybody needs a Dougie hug. Everybody needs a Dougie hug. I basically, yeah. He was one of the reasons I drove up to Jersey for the day when Creation was here with the Jersey with the trek to New Jersey. I obviously wanted to see Nicole and Terry. I always put my foot in my mouth when I talk to Nana. I don't know why. Or at least I feel like I do. Who else was there? Oh, Anthony Rapp, who I really love. And Doug. I had to see Doug. I had one of the first things I did was get in line to get my Dougie hug. So yeah, one of these days, if you just sit down. I mean, so basically with Zoe, okay. All right. I'm gonna check something real quick before I like completely put my foot in my mouth. But let me just check on something really, 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 really quick. And then I will get back to you. So you guys talk amongst yourselves, just kibitz, while I look something up really, really quickly. Because, like, I am so bad with, like, I am not the greatest person. I am not the greatest person with names. So let me see. Okay. Right. So Zoe, and then, so Zoe's pulled in the Marvel universe. Yeah, Zoe's pulled in the entire Marvel universe. So like practically all of Disney. It looks like she's pulled in Avatar, because I'm seeing pictures of her with Avatar. Yep, she was in Avatar Way of Water. So she's pulled in, so yeah, she's pulled in basically everything James Cameron has ever done. Oh, Chris, I'm sorry. Yeah, they were some, yeah, they were amazing. They were absolutely amazing. Yeah, I miss Aaron so much at these conventions. He was just such an incredible soul. Anthony Rapp and Wilson Cruz were in Rent together. Yes, they were, which pulls in Jesse L. Martin from the movie. Jesse L. Martin was in the movie, so that pulls in Jesse L. Martin, which pulls in the DC universe because Jesse L. Martin was in Flash. So pulls in that, which of course then, like I said, it's just another way. So pulls in Flash and everything, which pulls in Arrow, which pulls in the Arrowverse. So basically the whole DC verse on whatchamacallit, on the CW. Because I think everybody except maybe Smallville touched on Flash. I don't remember if Smallville touched with Flash. Don't know if you've heard, but Doug Drexler's Kickstarter got fully funded. Oh, that's fantastic. Congratulations to Doug. That's fantastic. Good on him. Good on him. Yeah, I hate it. I am so bad with names. I literally, just the other day, Amanda, I was trying to I needed to add somebody to my WhatsApp, and I knew them, and they had just given me their phone number, and I'm like, what's his name? And then I went, oh right, Bewitched. His name was Darren. And the minute that he told me, like after he told me like 3 times, I just stored Bewitched in the back of my head for him, and then it came up for Darren. So so that's great. Yeah, good on Doug. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I think they're still trying to get, speaking of trying to get things off the ground, I think they're still trying to get that Manhattan Project off the ground. The one with like Bonnie and John Billingsley, Bonnie Gordon and John Billingsley, and I think Walter Koenig and Dominic Keating. They're trying to get that. I think they're still trying to get that off the ground. I don't know if the fund me pages are still up for that, but they are still trying to do that. But yeah, I mean, you can also pull in T-Mobile with Zoe, because she's doing those T-Mobiles now, and she's doing them with the Big Lebowski. So there you go. Just pulled in everybody who's associated with the Big Lebowski, which pulls in Roseanne, which not that we need her, but it pulls in all of Roseanne and the Connors because John Goodman was in the Big Lebowski. So come here. And we already tied Christopher Reeve to it, which means the whole Superman franchise is connected. Speaking of Lex, which also here's some fun, which also pulls in Roseanne because Ned Beatty played Dan's dad in Roseanne. That's all the latest funding for it. Are you coming up, or are you still going to sit down there and play hard to get and just look cute? He's just going to sit down there and tease me. Yep. Fantasy Island, which again, all of those like guest starry ones, he's walking away. Cause that I want you up here. I get it. Yeah, all those guest starry ones, like their shows with the guest stars do really well. Like now, literally, like everything that Khan has touched through Fantasy Island, like all of that. If you wanted to go through like who's been on Fantasy Island, I'm trying to think. Okay, so the other big one with all those tons of guest stars was obviously the Love Boat. So let me see. I feel like, well, Gavin McLeod, who played Captain Steubing, was in Hogan's Heroes. So there's that connection. What's that say? Cat. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, man. You were, yeah, my cat, Lex. Of course, it wouldn't be the dog. The dog's right here on my lap. No, but yeah, it's my cat, Lex. He normally by now at night, he'd be curled up on my lap and I'd feel guilty about telling him I'm getting ready to go to bed. But of course, now that I'm down here tonight doing the show, he's off. He's off playing around. Playing hard to get. Will Reeve, which means who? David Muir is tied to trucks because of Will Reeve. David Muir? Okay. I mean, I know who Will Reeve is, obviously. If I didn't, I would have to hand in my Christopher Reeve fandom. I'm just curious who David Muir is. The guy from 2020? Is that who we're talking about? Yes, cats do rule the world. Oh, I love the little cat emoji. Yes, they do. They do rule the world. Absolutely. But that does tie in the new Superman movie. You're right. That ties in the new Superman movie, which means Mrs. Maisel is tied into Star Trek because Mrs. Maisel played Lois Lane. It took me a while to realize that it was her. I was like, wait, like at some point in the movie, I went, wait, that's Mrs. Maisel. Which if you haven't seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, that was also fantastic. But I like period pieces. And if Mrs. Maisel's tied in, that's another. Then Monk is tied in because Tony Shalhoub was in Mrs. Maisel. Who else was there? Anybody else? Oh, and Family Guy is tied in because the woman that played Maisel's manager does the voice of Lois. So that's just an extra tie-in for Family Guy because Family Guy is already tied in. But I'm just saying that because I literally just found that out not that long ago. That the woman that does the voice of Lois was also in Mrs. Maisel. So that's why I had to throw that one in there. But, oh, wow. So we've spent a good time. This is really fun because I thought it was going to be more of a quiz show, but this is more like audience participation and it's way more fun. What is the fastest way to tie in Hammer horror? Yeah, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Well, assuming that memes of Carrie Fisher with William Shatner don't count. Let's see. Peter Cushing was in the British version of, I want to say Tales from the Crypt. It was one of those. In fact, I'm sure it was. It was the British version of Tales from the Crypt. Those little vignettes, and Joan Collins was in one of them. City of the Edge of Forever. Done. Yep. Okay, that's okay. Yep. David Muir World. So yeah, Will Reeve, except for the brown eyes, is like a carbon copy of his dad. And I love the fact that even in a very small way, he was in the Superman movie. I thought that was fantastic. But yeah, so there you go. Hammer, Peter, and it wasn't even Hammer. I don't think the Tales from the Crypt was a Hammer horror, but that ties everything together for you. Ta-da. It helps to be a horror movie fan when you're trying to do sci-fi because I mean, look, Night of the Lepus, which is this giant rabbit movie, DeForest Kelly, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original. That ties the movie MASH to Star Trek because Donald Sutherland and Leonard Nimoy were both in, and Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum. They were all in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So that ties Jurassic Park and the movie MASH. with Star Trek. Mash Mash. The tie-in is James Cromwell. Zephram Cochrane from First Contact was in an episode of MASH, which was really good. And I think there's a oh yeah, and this guy Paul oh no, that was one of the character names. There was an actor, and I met him in Czech Long Island. He was on MASH in 3 different episodes, and he was an admiral. He was an Asian admiral. He was Asian actor, was on MASH 3 times, and he was an Asian admiral on TNG, and I can't remember the admiral's name. There was an Invasion of Body Snatchers. I always think of the one with them as the original. I keep forgetting about the black and white one. I keep forgetting the one with Nimoy and Sutherland is actually the remake. I forget that the original one was a black and white one. Thank you for correcting me. Jonathan Frakes is tied to General Hospital. Jeannie Francis. Yup. Which also ties him to Days of Our Lives because Jeannie Francis was also in Days. And so was Wesley Ure, and he's from Land of the Lost. And we all know that Land of the Lost was written, their head writer was David Gerald. Walter Koenig invented Enoch, the fan favorite Sleestak character in the 2nd season. So there's a huge tie-in. So yeah, Wesley and Jeannie were both at different times. And I swear to God, I think I've said this before. I think some point in the 80s or early 90s, there was at least one Star Trek fan that was writing for Days because there was something that I was like, wait a minute, I feel like you're a Star Trek fan. Nakamura, maybe. Yeah, you might. Yeah, you might be right on that. Hold on. That's the Admiral's name, right? Let's see. Yep, that's him. Ding, ding, ding. Clyde. Yep. Good call, Travis. You're absolutely right. That's exactly who I was thinking of. Star Trek and Xena actor on The Boys. Go. Carl Urban. Kate Mulgrew was on Ryan's Hope. Yeah, a lot. You'd be surprised how many actors cut their teeth on soaps. Back to Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve was on the soap as well. So yeah, absolutely. If it was more, yeah, Star Trek, Xena, and The Boys, it has to, I mean, if there's somebody else besides Carl, but yeah, it was Carl Urban. Loved him as Cupid. Love him on The Boys. Can't wait for The Boys to come back. I'm just, of course, sad that it's their last season. Let's see. So yeah, so that tie. Oh, and Jack Quaid, but he wasn't in Xena. But we've got Jack Quaid, who was also in The Boys. So we've got a couple of Star Trek tie-ins, which obviously also ties in Gen V, which is really good if you guys aren't watching. Simon Pegg was in, but was Simon Pegg in Xena? I'm struggling with Simon Pegg and Xena. Oh, you know what? I read that wrong. I thought you were talking about Star. Okay, that's why I was thinking Carl Urban. Like I read Star Trek and Xena on The Boys. I was just thinking you meant because Carl Urban covers all 3. So that's where I got confused. But yeah, Jack Quaid and Simon Pegg, The Boys, and Star Trek. Yeah, I get it now. But yeah, okay. Yeah, like I said, I thought you were specifically just talking about Carl because Carl's done all 3. He's done Xena. and The Boys, and he's on track. But Jack Quaid and Simon Pegg have only done. Yeah, I get it. Jack Quaid and Simon Pegg have both done The Boys, and they've both been in Star Trek. Yep. Cool. No worries. I forgot. Yep. Which ties, like I said, The Boys and Gen V to Trek. I'm trying to hear if there's anybody else on those. I feel like there's just like this feeling. I feel like there should be more. I feel like there should be more than just those three, but I think it's just those three. Oh yeah, and speaking of Robert Duncan McNeil, then that spits us over to Resident Alien and Criminal Minds, because I remember he did at least one episode of Criminal Minds, directed at least one episode of Criminal Minds. But that bumps us over Robbie Duncan McNeil, Resident Alien, which does another Superman tie-in because Alan Tudyk was played Metamorpho. Again, where is Magic Lasso? How are you tied to Robbie Duncan McNeil, Travis? Love to hear that. Homelander was on Xena. That I did not know. I did not know Homelander was on Xena. That I will have to look up. Because I love Xena. I absolutely love Xena. And if Xena's tied to Star Trek, then that's another Marvel Universe tie-in, because if Xena's tied to Star Trek, Bruce Campbell was in Xena, and he popped up in the Spider-Man movies. He did those little Sam Raimi throws people he likes into movies. Alan Tudyk's amazing. I've met Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk is awesome. He signed my friend's autograph. I Am a Leaf on the Wind. I wanted to cry because I just watched Serenity, and I was so pissed. Sorry if you haven't watched the movie. I don't watch any of the NCIS. I used to watch NCIS. I used to watch NCIS Los Angeles. And Connor Trinier was in an episode, so that's an easy tie-in right there. But I don't watch Origins, so that one, Travis, is all you. If you want to tell us how it's tied to Trek, I would love to hear that. I would absolutely love to hear that. Ash vs. Evil Dead is also a lot of... Oh my God, loved Ash vs. Evil Dead. I love Sam Raimi. I think Sam Raimi is a freaking genius. But yeah, I love all three Evil Dead movies. I think they're great. I think Bruce was perfect. And I like the Sam Raimi. Spider-Mans. I like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I almost watched Spider-Man last night. I almost watched No Way Home last night. I was really in the mood. Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk have a new podcast. It's hilarious. Oh, very cool. Yeah, those two are fantastic together. Once We Were Spacemen. That's great. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Hurry up, Travis. Fill us in on this because it's getting time to, shut down for the night. So I'm really excited. Please let us know. By the way, Dave, I've got riff tracks playing on the. Watch that. Oh, okay. I've got riff tracks playing on the background because I just didn't bother to turn the TV off. It's on mute. Right before I went live, somebody said "such as seals." Just saying, Ryan isn't the only person I can have inside jokes with. I don't know if you guys can hear it. The dog is sound asleep, snoring on my lap. Very happy. Normally, if we were upstairs, he's got a bed in my office, and I may be broadcasting down here until the weather warms up, depending on whether or not I can get that stupid window fixed. What is riff tracks? Okay. Which one? Hold on. I don't know which one. It's a stupid one. I mean, it's one of the really, really stupid ones. Hold on a second. I can actually get the title. Hold on. It is Hold on. The Dark Power. It's the Dark Power. Riff tracks. Okay. Are you familiar with oh wow, normally people can. The doctor that created T'Pol and Trip's baby is the oh. Oh, okay, cool. Not only is that Trek, it's Enterprise, which I will always take. Okay, so to answer the what is Riff Tracks question, anybody out, if you're familiar with Mystery Science Theater 3000, it was Mike now, not Joel, Mike Nelson, when Mike Nelson came in with the two robots. After they left Mystery Science Theater, the guys that did the voices, Bill and Kevin, for the robots, the three of them started just riffing on movies. And instead of they can't call it Mystery Science Theater, so they call it Riff Tracks. So, and then they started doing live events. They literally would go on stage in Nashville, watch a movie, and broadcast it. It's a Fathom event, and broadcast it to theaters around the country. So they do that on occasion. They do maybe one or two live events a year, and then they also just record them. And now they have Riff Tracks channels on Pluto. There's a Riff Tracks channel on Pluto. There's a Riff Tracks channel on the Samsung free live TV, and you can find a bunch of them for free or to buy on Amazon Prime. Plus, they have their own website where you can download the movies. And oh, okay. It's like I said, it's the Dark Power. Sorry, some people don't know Riff Tracks, but if anybody else out there didn't know Riff Tracks, that's what Riff Tracks is. And Dave and I bonded. Well, we've already bonded, but Dave and I this year, before STLV started, we were both there early, and the TVs in the new TVs in the Ipanema Tower let you Chromecast. So we actually sat and watched. We watched Birdemic. I'm from Minnesota. Oh, well, now I'm totally jealous. And Trace MSC. Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Didn't know that. So yeah, of course you know. But yeah, I would love to I used to work in country music. I would love to get back down to Nashville and go see one of their live events. I would love to be in the theater while they're riffing. But Birdemic, no matter how many times I see it, if I ever catch Birdemic on a live channel on one of their channels, I stop. I don't know why they haven't done Birdemic 2 yet. They've done 1 and they've done 3. Haven't seen 2. And there's a 2, but they haven't done that. And such as Seals. Okay, guys, this was so much fun. I absolutely love hanging out with you. And like I said, this is like my favorite thing to do is play 6 Degrees of Separation, which I play on almost all of my shows, but every now and then I like to dedicate an entire show to 6 Degrees of Separation from Star Trek. And this was fun because we were like reverse engineering it and picking Star Trek actors and going backwards, which was fun too. Like the Zoe Saldana and Doug Jones. And let's not forget that Doug Jones was in Hellboy, but so was Ron Perlman. So that's 2 that's 2 for Hellraiser. Oh, I saw Miami Connection when they did it live. When they did it live in theaters. Yeah, that one's good. But yeah, I just my favorite short is Shake Hands with Danger. And my favorite Riff Tracks. The Sharknadoes are up there too, but yeah, Birdemic has to be my favorite. Oh, Amanda, I'm glad you had fun. Absolutely. Just, like I say, follow me on the socials, NX7062 everywhere on the socials. Follow me on the socials and you'll know what's going on every week and you'll know the next time I decide to do this. You know what? I'm a bad sci-fi fan. I have never watched Supernatural. And I love Jensen Ackles. He was also in Days of Our Lives. I love Jensen Ackles, and I just never sat down and watched Supernatural, but I know it's like amazing. But guys, listen, thank you so much for hanging out. Please, if you can, I love doing this with you guys. And I do it because I have so much fun. But if you can, I love a little love. If you have a chance and you can support the show and you want to just pick up some swag, I have some amazing merchandise. the NX7062 hat that I am wearing tonight, and my Read Alert tank top. You can't really tell, but it is in glitter. It's in red glitter. Yes, tangents and 6 degrees is the two things I am really good at. 6 degrees of separation and tangents. Those are like my superpowers. If you can, I would love it if you could support the show. Plus, you get something really good. This is really, I don't deal in crap merchandise. I promise. I go through punkarmy.net, and they are the ones that supply all the merch to Chase Masterson's Pop Culture Hero Coalition. All the Be Kind shirts, including the one with Ken Mitchell's signature, since we were talking about Ken earlier. Oh, Travis, I'm so glad. Anyway, so that's who does my merch. So it's amazing merch, high quality, amazing shirts, hats, water bottles, coffee mugs. Dave's got a coffee mug. They're great coffee mugs. I love my coffee mugs. So I'm glad y'all had fun. If you get a chance, please support the show. Just grab yourself some merch. I would absolutely love that. And like I said, it's a win-win because Chris has got some, because the t-shirts are fantastic. You get a nice t-shirt to wear and you're supporting the show, and I really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I can't wait to see all of you next week. And